Welcome to experTEASEtalk, where we wage war on confusion so that intimacy can come in with ease. We have a few guests in the building, and we're going to have them introduce themselves. Starting from this way.
I am Lloyd, Lindley, aka Chip.
Veronica, Washington.
On Facebook, you see me as Clarence Patrick Francis. However, I go by the name of Patrick, aka Doc.
And they are wonderful people, as you'll soon find out.
L.A.M.P.
L.A.M.P. So look, can you guys tell us more about L.A.M.P?
All right, so L.A.M.P, I'll just start out. L.A.M.P is a organization, and we connect nonprofits by making a bigger impact on the community. We get resources so that we are able to get together for a lot of organizations that don't have that light shined on them at the moment. And at the same time, we're able to connect them with either a larger organization or other organizations with similar causes, so we make a bigger impact on the community.
That's dope. Good stuff.
And basically, just to piggyback what Patrick was saying, we use fitness, we use different causes as far as like the first time we had a party with a purpose, Star Hope, mentorship, just various causes. And, you know, for L.A.M.P, it illuminates everything, so we just want to bring light to situations.
Awesome, awesome. That's very positive, guys. I appreciate you for being on the show today. How long have you guys been friends? I assume you guys are friends.
Since birth, we born on the same day.
Really?
Yeah.
March
Wow.
17th.
March 17th.
Yes.
Pisces.
Pisces.
St. Patrick's
Nice.
Day. St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. 317 boys.
That's what's up. Okay, and Veronica, Washington. Welcome to the party. How are you?
Lovely. How are you, sis?
It's my sister. So tell us more about what you have going on.
Well, I actually currently co-run Be Powered Fit with Miss Host here, and I just launched my own blog called V.Russ.
Awesome.
Stemming from Veronica Russell, my maiden name, so that's going well.
It is. It's very interesting. You guys should check it out. What else you got going on?
That's
She
it.
has a lot of talent. She's holding back. She is holding back. So we do fitness, and we have a blog that she has going on, and she has many other talents. You guys are going to have to follow her on her blog and learn more about that, right?
Yes, XOXOVRuss, VRUSS.com.
Awesome. Okay, so today, guys, we're going to talk about love patterns, how our past impacts our love patterns, and how our PTSD of heartbreak impacts our love patterns, how we love on people right now, right? So let me pose a question to you guys. Have you ever taken out what happened to you in a previous relationship and did something that you regret in a current relationship? Does that make sense? Have you?
Who you asking first? Either one?
Jump in.
Okay. So I'll jump in. So taking something from a previous relationship, and what's the question again? Brought it
To
into
a current relationship.
Yeah. So what happens is, and I hear the term PTSD come up a lot. So that's when, of course, something, tragic or something
Heartbreak.
very impactful happens to you in that past situation. And when you see a glimpse of that in the new or the current situation you're in, all of a sudden, it brings you back to,
Like a trigger.
yeah,
Gotcha.
that's the word, trigger. It brings you back to that period right there, and now all of a sudden, what happens? Like shut down, you revert, you close off, your defense mechanisms come up,
Correct.
and so now that is affecting your current relationship, which is going to prevent you from moving forward. So things like that, I think that before you get into a new relationship, you have to make sure that you are monitoring those triggers and that PTSD that you had in the past and resolve those issues before you can fully move on, because it's going to prevent you from progressing in that current relationship.
Well, I can agree with that, but have you had any experience with that?
Yes, I have. I've actually been on both sides of it.
Okay.
So, knowingly and unknowingly. So unknowingly it happens and it's like, wow, I didn't realize I was still in that mindset or that mind frame. And then knowingly it's like, yeah, I didn't think it's gonna really trigger, but it did. And now what do I do?
Okay.
So yeah, I've been on both sides.
And what about you, sir?
Self-consciously, I believe that we all go through some form of fashion
Sure.
of it. You know, you live and you learn, you go through experiences. And like, you know, Patrick was saying is that, you know, those trigger points, you see something that you had from a prior experience and you bring it into your relationship and you're like, I'm not supposed to do this again. And it's not fair to that person, but
Right.
I mean, self-consciously, you try to protect yourself so you don't have to feel that same pain or hurt or whatever the experience may be. And I've gone through that, like you said, on both sides of it. You know, being selfish, you know, feeling like, well, you know, somebody tried to hurt me, you know, being immature.
Right, right.
But yeah, I think we've all gone through it, you know.
Yeah, but you guys have any specific incidents where the person actually, you found yourself doing something to the person that happened? That, you know, because a lot of times what happens is we know what to do now. You know, age, everything hindsight is 20/20, right? After everything is said and done, you know that's what it was, and this is how you should deal with it. But in the thick of it, is there a specific situation where you found yourself losing somebody because of what happened to the person, what happened before? Like specifically, I'm looking for
Specific example.
Yes.
What you do?
There you go.
Well, I can say after my divorce, I was mean.
Okay.
I was the B word
Right.
when it came to dating. And so
Bad.
one instant in particular, there was a guy and you know, he was very nice and very complimentary, but because of trust issues and inconsistencies in my marriage and things like that,
Right.
I didn't believe nothing he said. He could tell me I'm beautiful 5 times a day, and I'm like, okay.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I turned down the compliments and I turned down the nice gestures and kind of pushed him away to where he was like, well, all right. And that was that. And we continued to date. And
Right.
you know, I regretted it after the fact once
Right.
I realized, like, dang, you're kind of mean. Like, you need to heal.
Right. And that brings me to my next point. That whole thing of healing. Like, how do you deal with healing? How do you even begin that process? Because a lot of times we think we sweeping stuff under the rug or that we moved on and things are better. And all we want to do is just move on. We don't want to focus on what happened. We don't want to ponder on it. We don't give it any energy, any power. But at the end of the day, it has taught us something. It has made us who we are. How do you like address it without holding it like a bag of bricks? You know what I'm saying? How do you put the bricks down?
Well, I think healing starts with yourself first. You have to look in the mirror. Sometimes it wasn't the other person.
Ooh.
It's you. You know,
Wow.
sometimes if it's trending, if every relationship you have, the outcome is the same. Then you have to start looking in the mirror like, hold on, this might be something that I'm doing wrong, or I'm not going about the
Common
look,
denominator.
I'm not, yeah,
The
the
love
common,
pattern.
exactly. And so you have to look at yourself and like, what am I not doing right?
Right.
What am I? You know, we're so quick to blame the other person. Well, they didn't treat me right. They cheated on me. They did this. They did that, or
Right.
whatever. But you know, what are you not doing right? So build yourself up. Take the time out. I think self-healing is big.
It is.
You know, when you go through a traumatic relationship or whatever,
Right.
if you don't take the time to heal your scars, it's just gonna open back up.
What does that look like though? What does that look like, Clarence?
Well, I was gonna touch on something real quickly, like when he said about like it's you. So, in certain times when you're self healing, that's when I learned you have to like step back and say, okay, instead of pointing the finger saying, well, you didn't do this, you not meeting this need.
Right.
When I like doing this, you're supposed to do this. It's like take that word you out and then bring, okay, what can I do? Change your perspective and say, okay, what can I do differently in this situation versus what can you or they do differently?
Right.
And so that I think is a big piece to self-healing and also self-awareness.
Yeah, I agree. I
And
agree.
trying to make sure that once again, is it you or is it them? Are you doing what you need to do? Because if you're telling them, hey, you need to do this, and I'm not changing, then it's gonna be the same thing. They're gonna get tired of your BS eventually.
And sometimes things are not just a fit. I mean, I always use the analogy of key. You can have 1,000 keys on your keychain,
Right.
and it's not meant for that keyhole. You know,
Right.
and it's not necessarily something that you're doing wrong or they're doing wrong. It's just not a good fit.
It's just not a good fit. It's just not a good fit. Well, that's true. That's very true. And sometimes we take ourselves through a lot of pain trying to make it fit, right?
Oh.
And
Whoa.
like, you know what I'm saying? Trying to
Why is
force
Why is that?
force it to fit. And you know, that's a good question. And why do we do that? I would say that a lot of times we try to force things to fit because we're looking at our surroundings. We're comparing our lives to other people. We're TV kids, and we want the love that we see happen on TV. We want the romance, and we actually take in the nostalgia of a new relationship, and we try to use that nostalgia as a drug to keep us high the rest of the relationship. Once the key doesn't fit, you gotta
Force it.
let me turn the key over. You know what I'm saying? So I think the hard part is the failure of feeling like you sat there and played with that key for so long, and the longer you try to manipulate the key into the hole, like, you know, the more you don't want to walk away. You feel like it's a loss of time.
That's funny because I just had a situation. Literally, it was a key. Literally, my dad told me use this. Get in with this key in this side door.
Right.
I literally went in there, tried it, jigged it around. I couldn't do it. I went back. He was like, "Nah, that's the right key." Okay. I went back. Right?
So someone else telling you
That is the right key.
Yeah.
That part.
But you know what?
That part, that's big.
But he went right in there. That key was compatible with him. And he did it. And he was like, you gotta jig it like this. And he turned it right in. And I was like,
plot twist.
okay,
It was
so
the right key.
it was the right key, but I just wasn't the right fit.
That part.
He's the one that was the perfect fit
That
for him.
part.
So
That
me,
part.
I need a whole nother door knob.
He knew how to. Well, let me tell you something. That brings about a good point. First of all, like you said, outside influence. People trying to tell you what you should do and what works for you.
Right.
That's a no-go. Quit letting somebody else architect your life. You are the expert, okay? On the flip side, there are people who are aged and seasoned and know and have been through it. And so you can take what they say as advice, take it as a suggestion, because what happens is, just like your dad was able to go ahead and get it done, there are things that they know that we just don't know yet. And we shun away from older people because we feel like, oh, it's dated. And I find myself giving my 17-year-old daughter advice, and she's like, nah, guys don't operate like that. That's a lot of things about the human experience that does not change. It's the same. Women are still women, and men are still men. And there are innate qualities that we possess, or ways that we perform and act, that just don't go anywhere. So with that being said, have you guys found yourself, how do I say this, falling victim to the myths of like the roles of women and the roles of men? Like I had someone tell me earlier today, that men like women that stay in feminine flow and accept help and that kind of thing. So how do you feel about that? Like, is that true for you? Like,
I think it's a healthy balance. I mean, I've never been one to believe in roles like you need to go cook and I need to be outside. I believe we're a team. Everything we do is a team.
Right.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Right.
Where you lack, I'm strong. Let's build each other up. And so, I've never been into roles like that. Like
Right.
you have to. A prerequisite to talk to me, you have to cook steaks every Wednesday or something like that. That's crazy, like I just believe in, like I cook myself. I've always been self-sufficient because I was taught never to rely on someone. And so, I guess it makes it difficult kinda in a relationship because it's like I cook myself, I do my own laundry, I do all that myself because, when you go away for college, my mom was like, make sure you know how to do this, and this.
Right.
So you don't be relying on someone. So I don't believe in any meals, me personally.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well,
Uh-oh.
well, I was more so in a situation where the gender roles were kind of forced upon me in a way, where it didn't start off that way. We started off in the team thing and cook together and clean together. It was a together thing.
Right.
And then when things got serious, then you find out what they really believe. And it was, oh, you need to cook and my dinner needs to be ready when I get home and why you didn't clean the house and that it was that. So
Right. Change up.
it was a change up. So it wasn't like I was against cooking and cleaning and doing all those things. It was before it was a together.
Right.
And now it's no, this is what
This is
women
your role.
do. This is your role. And I was like,
Change
what?
up. How do we do that? How do we handle the change
I
up?
was just wondering how long did it take for it to switch? When you say
90
it got
days.
serious and what?
90 days, 3, 4 days.
Oh yeah, was it 90 days? Was it 6 months? When y'all got engaged? When you got actually?
I feel like it
After
probably was like
marriage?
outside influence, but
I would say,
The key.
Somebody
I
would
would say
definitely-
once the wedding.
After
Like
the
once
wedding?
it was like man and wife, it was like, okay, this is what a wife does.
Oh, my
But when
wife.
we were girlfriend and boyfriend,
Okay.
Coming to America.
Love patterns. Let's get on that. Okay, so here's the deal with me. Like, I believe that if you have a specific title, then there's a level of respect, there's a level of expectation that should come with that title. However, I think that it should be customized for the two people involved. Okay? What I'm not gonna do in the essence of role playing, I think once you have a certain role, there's an expectation. There are things that I would do for my boyfriend that I won't do for my friend. There are things that I'll do for my husband that I won't do for my boyfriend. However, it has to be customized to my relationship.
That's what's stuff for that.
Okay? So, you got some stuff on that?
look, he like, I got a story to tell.
No, because
Go talk real loud on this one.
that frustrates me because I feel like when I hear that statement, and nothing against what you're saying, it's just like I think that reverts back to what you said your first topic.
Right.
Because now you comparing me with your ex or whoever, because you're like, I'm not going to do this because you're putting me in a category. Why can't I just be? You're saying that you would only do certain things for.
Oh, yeah. There are things
Role.
that I won't.
It's a role.
It's definitely a role. I know how to, and I know what to do based on the role you give me. Because what I will not do is have you call me a friend and get girlfriend treatment.
I understand.
Or call me a girlfriend and
But
get wife
it's
treatment.
about reciprocation. It's
Absolutely.
my actions. It's not my role. It's my reciprocation. The energy I'm presenting to you
Right.
is not going to be. Anybody knows that if you're into somebody, you're gonna make time for them.
True.
You're gonna do things that you normally wouldn't do.
True.
I'll be like, Pat, I can't work out today. I gotta go. I gotta go
Facts.
do what I gotta do.
By myself.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
You know, cause you into this person.
Facts.
But at the same time, it's like, why do I have to feel like I'm with you or it's a role to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, if you know that I'm down with you, I'm down with you. Like, you know, my actions are gonna show that. It doesn't, I don't care if I'm your dude, like you know that.
Okay, so go ahead, cause I
My actions,
you
understand?
Yeah, I completely understand what you're trying to say.
Like,
I completely.
I commend
I'm
that
not-
you feel that way,
I
and then
commend you for feeling that way,
that's
too.
how you date, and then that's
And you have integrity in your dating.
But that's not
That's great.
across the board.
That's not dating for me. It's like when I'm with at this age, when I'm with you, I'm with you.
right.
I
And
don't,
that's how
I'm not a
it should be.
serial dater like that.
Right.
I don't have the time or energy to be dating a lot of women. at
That's
one
beautiful,
time.
and that's
That's
how
how
it
it
should be.
Yeah,
But
you
since we
busy.
live
You
in
got a purpose.
since we live in reality.
Living a meaningful purpose.
So listen, if you date like this gentleman over here,
Dating with a purpose.
Get a
then
boss.
and you're dating with a purpose, then a lot of times a woman will reciprocate.
You would
Yeah,
get,
that's what
you
I
would
want.
get
You
all
will
that
get the
treatment.
world before you really
And there's
really
some
prematurely.
relationships
But
that-
can I share something with you?
It ain't
Bad
everybody.
way.
Everybody's not
That's not
that
everybody.
way.
Exactly. And so
Right.
so now your intelligence needs to kick in. If you know that everybody's not that way, it's not so much a thing of it sounds rigid. It sounds like, oh, now I'm this, so I can be this. It's not necessarily the case. What I'm telling you is that I reciprocate. And if you can't say this is my person, that's fine. I won't make you say this is my person. I'm not I don't subscribe to forcing somebody to say or do anything that they really don't want to do, especially as it relates to me. What I am saying is pick a lane and get in it. If I'm your person, that's cool. And you get the your person treatment. Until then, if you calling yourself my friend, what up, friend? That's what's up. That's all I'm saying.
It's all
But I
about
don't have.
compatibility, right?
True.
Because we talked about it before. Like, you got to learn that person. So if you like certain things, like if you like your, garbage taken out by, the guy, and the guy is like opposite, like, oh, either one of us could take it out and it's no big deal. But you're like, well, no, this is the guy's job. Then, and y'all not budging, and hey, y'all may not be compatible, right? So
Yeah.
you might need to just,
He don't fit.
it could be a deal breaker. You might have to adjust. If you feel like I can't adjust, that's a deal breaker, right?
Absolutely.
So you just gotta be like, okay,
But see what we just did just now is we had sort of two different issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, roles. I completely 100% agree with you. If you in your mind have what your mate needs to look like, especially post, there are things that I may need post my past to feel secure in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I need to communicate that to my person, and if they're willing to step up to the plate and do that, and me do the same in their direction, then we probably can make something work. We can make something go. But that's roles. And just for the record, I don't mind taking out my goddamn trash. What I'm saying is that on your front, everybody want to be on some let it happen organically type stuff. And I'm okay with that. But the average person manipulates the organic experience. The average person wants the nostalgia, and as soon as the nostalgia wears off, all that organic, lovey-dovey, you that chick, you that guy stuff, it goes out the window.
I'm not. I understand what you're saying. I'm not naive to the point to say that it's gonna be strictly organic and it's just honeybees and we just running through gardens
let's do
and
it.
holding hands. I'm not saying
Let's check in.
that. I'm
Let's see
saying
what's really
that.
good.
I'm saying the reciprocation comes with your energy from your partner, and
True.
how they reciprocate to you is how you know whether to move on or not. And it's not so much a title or a role that you're giving me, it's that, usually on Tuesdays, I work out with my homegirl. But now I'm gonna implement, instead of going an hour at the gym, I might do 30 minutes with my homegirl, 30 minutes, I'm catch a coffee with you at Starbucks. So I'm allowing you some of my me time or whatever I do, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by that. I'm not naive to the point,
And see, I don't even want that. Go on, get that, give your homegirl that hour. Because I know once I'm just telling you I feel what you're saying, the sacrifice. I mean, love is really a sacrificial word. So I understand the adjustment and the compromise. I'm not even knocking that. I'm just telling you, in my experience, go on, give your homegirl that hour. You feel me? Because you're going to go back and give your homegirl that hour anyway. And my thing is consistency. Wherever I fit, Just let me go ahead on and fit in that thing how I'm supposed to. Don't get extra adjusty and then turn around and when we really in that thing, you like, man, I gotta go back to.
But if he really into you, he gonna push the homegirl aside and gonna work out with you.
Absolutely, if I'm working out. But I'm not gonna take him from that to make him do something else when I know that's what he likes to do. That's his thing. So
With the
somebody
homie, but
with
if
the
you're not
homie.
doing
You in the minority.
I'm-
Just like they say, people start off in the beginning and be like,
They-
oh,
go ahead,
go
do
ahead,
your
go
thing.
with your girl. That's fine. But then eventually you want why you gotta work out your girl. Why you trying to get sexy? Why
goal
you get fine?
Because my goal with your girl is
And it's the issue.
It's an
if you're gonna
issue.
take it back away from me,
It's-
don't even start that. Don't even start that. Don't even start something you can't keep up. Like that's how I feel.
People can be
That's
salesmen and saleswomen.
But I'm just saying, if you like to work out too, and I like to work out, well, instead of me working out with my homegirl, I'm gonna want to work out.
Oh, I'm
with
coming to the workout.
you. Well, that's fine, you know. But
If I like to work out too, that's the example. I'm playing into the example. If we go in there and I work out too, that's too general of a situation because my workout might look different from yours. Your homegirl might hit weights and pull weights and do all that stuff you like to do. I like to stretch and do
Yoga.
body weight, yoga type stuff. So you might not, you might come kick it with me and do that for a little while. That's really not your thing.
and you'll be okay with me working out.
Do your thing, sir.
You in the minority.
Keep it tight.
You in the minority.
Keep it tight, please. I feel like if your homegirl was there before.
That's what every
That's what they say.
What?
boy say that. You done that before.
And she ain't smashed, she
What
ain't.
did they say?
Okay, but
You smashed the homegirl?
here's the thing: when we
You just smashed the homegirl?
when we say it's okay for you to do
Maybe she
something,
smashed the homies.
when we say it's okay for you to do something, just let it be known we're gonna expect that same energy. So
No,
while I'm
no.
betting you go out and work out with your homegirl,
If I go work out with my homeboy.
don't.
Y'all have these terms and conditions,
Y'all
but
do it out of
it's this
spite.
small. Y'all
No.
don't tell them. Yeah, it's this small.
Terms
They-
and conditions. Isn't
Yeah,
it
don't do
always
that.
that
It's
small?
fine.
Isn't it
No,
always that
because-
small?
If we care about you enough and the relationship is strong enough, we
It's a
expect you to
SLA.
respect
I
respect what we got.
That's a whole other topic,
Oh,
though,
yeah,
like homeboys,
yeah.
homegirls, how long you
That
keep
is.
that's in your life.
They gone.
You know,
I'm gonna tell you though. I'm gonna tell you
Who cares?
when you into somebody though, when you really into somebody, you almost fall off from the whole friendship thing. Period.
push it away.
I
Y'all,
am your homegirl. That's what
I
I
feel like
mean.
all your friends be like, "Where are you? Like, where you been?"
That's true.
So you really fall off from everybody. It's not even so much a thing of getting rid of a homeboy or a homegirl. But what do you do if that person has people of the opposite sex that they don't just keep around, but they keep around? Like, we ain't talking about, oh, I talk to them on every blue moon. We talking about, I confide in this person. This is my best friend. You can have that? You got that? You got
Best
that?
friend? How long will this show
It's
be?
the opposite sex.
I don't
Opposite
agree.
sex best friend?
You like what did Biggie say? Problems with my girl I don't discuss with. You know what I'm saying? So, but you have problems and you discuss it with the opposite sex. Half the time, not all the time, or a good percentage of the time, that homeboy is a wolf in sheep clothing. Right? He could be.
Potential ass.
Now he may not be. He may not be though. But at the same time, it's like instead of discussing those issues with that friend, you need to be communicating with your significant other
Facts.
to figure things out.
Facts.
If
Facts.
they're a real friend, they're going to encourage you
To go communicate.
That's the other
to
thing.
your.
And if they don't,
And if you can't communicate with your significant other, you may want to check that.
Well,
Exactly.
misery
Real
loves
fact.
company too. So,
Yeah, part.
people that are miserable a lot of times don't want to see you happy.
And not on purpose. I don't even think
No.
it's a vindictive thing. It's like if somebody's giving you that type of advice, it's not because they're not your friend. It's just because it's hard to even share that energy. They're not in the same energy space as you. So they can't enlighten you on something that they're not a part of at that time. If they're actually happy in their relationship, 9 times out of 10, they'll make you go and talk to your significant other. They want you to have that happiness. But like you said, misery sort of loves company. You know what I'm saying?
And then on top of that, all you're doing is telling them the bad things. So
Yeah,
that friend,
That's not good.
I was good.
whether it's a male or
I was good.
It's
female,
not good. You do.
all they're hearing is all the bad things, and that might be just 15% of the 100. They're not hearing the 85% of the good things or positive things they're doing. They get to 15%, so now their perception of that person you're talking to is like, oh, that's not a good person.
Real skewed. What happens when best friend is mom or dad, brother, sister? What happens when best friend is really in the family? So now you gotta bring your significant other who you really trying to keep around.
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, regardless of family or friend, you just have to, like you were saying, just alluding to, is that you have to make sure you keep positive people in your circle. Because when I was going through a situation, Pat really helped me out a lot to realize I was being negative. I'm usually a positive person. And so it made me like realize myself, look in the mirror, like, you know, look at the glass half full. You know, we always look at, well, this person didn't do this or that. Like,
Right.
stop playing that victim role. And that's why I just feel like keep positive people in your life. That's what I'm.
That's real.
You know, and because if somebody want to see you fail or always shooting slugs, you know, you're the one with this person. So why? They don't know this person, like you said, it could only be 15% maybe.
Right.
But their perception of that person is you know, always negative. Like, why are you still with this person? All they do is do this. They don't see the good things that they do for you.
Oh.
Write the nice messages for you.
15% is 100% to them.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
They not telling you the 85 that they've done, you know,
That's
to
real.
help them out or supportive
That's
or,
real.
you know, now they're just going through a hard time. And then when you said, oh, it could be a family member that's a best friend. Well,
That makes it even
in a
sketchier.
situation like that, I would actually, I don't know if you would be close to that family member or not as well.
Right.
But what if you are, then that could be a mediator. I don't know.
If it depends, which brings me to my next point. Don't get advice from people who aren't or have never been in that situation. For example, I find that married people really should hang with other married people. You know what I'm saying?
All the time?
I mean, if you're gonna go out and stuff, I feel like it's easier just like people who have kids, it's easy to kind of be with somebody that has a kid. Like, I don't know why, you know what I'm saying? Is it
Not
just
even just play dates. The understanding of my kid is going to come first. This is how my time is set up. There's people with no kids just not going to understand the same way.
they tolerate it?
They
Which is
tolerate it.
different. That's different.
They try to be understanding,
Correct.
but it's really bothering them, to be honest.
It is. It is. And as it would bother me, and I got a kid. Like, it's like, oh, Lord. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's a hard pill to swallow. But when you get advice from people who are not, or haven't experienced that. Like, I never understood how, there's a book that I read called The Richest Man in Babylon. And it speaks to that. It talks about how people get advice about stuff that has, from people that have never experienced it, don't know anything about it, or whatever. So, let me ask y'all this. If you have a medical condition, right? You go to a what? Immediately. If you have a issue with the law and you get pulled over, you go to a
Lawyer.
Where do you go if you have a heartbreak PTSD issue?
Someone had
Like, seriously, where do you go? Not where do you suggestively go. We for sure going to a lawyer if we need to get out of a tight law spot. We for sure going to a doctor if we getting
Dr.
sick.
Hitch.
So
Love
who?
Dr.
Barbara Hicks?
Dr.
What?
Hitch.
Dr. Barbara Hicks? Seriously?
Will Smith.
Oh, you don't have a Hitch. You are so
Dr.
serious.
Hitch. You go
Seriously.
to a
There's an
counselor.
actual, that's Barbara Hicks is an actual doctor, y'all. She's a therapist. But seriously, like, we don't immediately send people, when we're going through some stuff, we don't send anybody to anybody. Who do we send them to?
When you go to a marriage counselor or a relationship counselor or something?
I'm not married. But I was just in a relationship, and that relationship broke me down. Where do I go?
I think that's a regular psychologist. Because really, you said you were broke down, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing when you broke down? Build yourself back up. Look at yourself in the mirror. They say, build me down to break me up, right? So, I mean, break me down to build me up, right? So you have to look at everything in a 360. Like, where did I go wrong? Where did they go wrong? Where did the relationship fail? Stuff like that.
I agree.
And so I feel that, you know, anytime there's failure with stuff, it starts with yourself. It's just like sports. We've all been, you know, played sports or whatever. Golden State just lost. I ain't trying to change the subject or nothing, but you got to look at it like, okay, well, everybody has an exit interview for a job or whatever. If you go to another job or something, where did I go wrong? It starts with you, right? And then you go from there, and then from there you build yourself back up. So if you had a post-traumatic relationship, you have to look at, okay, where did I go wrong? What could I have done better?
Right.
But, you know, look at what they did wrong, what they could have done better, and then you just take that experience. And like with me personally, I've probably had one bad breakup my whole life. Honestly, I look at it as an experience.
I agree. I can agree.
I take it as an experience.
I can agree with you, but like when KD got injured,
It was.
or somebody, if I go into cardiac arrest right now, y'all put me. I would think y'all would put me on the back of an ambulance and get me to the hospital as soon as possible. Your heart controls most of where the trajectory of where your life goes. It's like it impacts not just that moment, but it impacts everything behind that moment. How you raise your kids, who you marry, what you do for a job, all of those things. Okay, it's a navigator. So if your heart is that important and you experience a heartbreak, the first thing we try to do is most of us self-medicate with either liquor, weed, some whatever, somebody else, a third party. We drag them through whatever and try to make them fix us and patch us up.
Yeah, like how often do we really go to?
How do we really go to? I mean, it's almost like we don't take that serious enough. To me, I feel like we rely on ourselves too much to fix.
Which that's what actually how I did it. Actually, that's what I did. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. But going to a counselor wasn't like it was like a thought, but it's not something you actually really seek out and go to one because you gotta go. Okay, how much do I gotta pay this person to do this, and is it gonna work?
And you gotta find the right counselor.
You gotta find the right one.
So you gotta find the right doctor.
Be the right one.
I'm saying, but the first person that worked on me when I got sick wasn't necessarily the right person.
Exactly. So you never know.
You don't. Your first lawyer might not be the right lawyer. You got, you know what I'm saying? So why don't we, especially we, don't use that insurance?
Because our first train of thought, I think, is to be vengeful. Like they gonna see that they missed out on this. I'm gonna go get fined on them, or I'm gonna go, like you said, drink or whatever. But I think, like, you know, again, alluding to what Pat, it's like reading, keeping a positive energy around you, and just like you said, right or wrong, whether it was self-medication for me, just keeping a positive energy. Like, you know, this happened for a reason. I went through this for a reason.
What happens if you're not patched up properly? What happens if that bone is not healed properly? What happens if that scar is not patched up properly? What happens to the next relationship?
Katie?
I think you gotta accept it.
It's gonna come back up.
It's gonna come back.
Katie?
But you gotta accept it also.
Triggers, right?
Yeah. You gotta accept it. Make sure, make the other person aware of it.
That part.
So they'll know.
Communicate your past hurt.
You know.
How often do you get that naked for somebody? And then when we just talked about how you date with integrity, but the average person doesn't. So how soon into that nostalgia, that 3 months, that 4 months, when that it feels right and everything's good, how soon do you get butt naked about what went on with you and what triggers you and what you like? How soon are you supposed to get? Because you know people can fake it, like you said. What do you call it? What you call it? Y'all be faking. Y'all say it's okay at first, then y'all come back and say something different. How soon do you divulge?
I say third date.
third date?
Third
Y'all
date.
trying to smash on a third date. What's yours? What's yours? If y'all haven't smashed already, what's yours?
You got divulge on the third date.
Me, I'm different, man.
Third date before you smash? Pre-smash or post-smash? Wait, hold on. Everybody wait. Wait for it.
Hold on.
Pre-smash or post-smash? Go ahead.
I say,
No,
on the third
right
date.
phone.
Right? Give me
Hold
that.
We're waiting. The people are waiting.
Pre-smash.
Okay.
That's the reason. It's the reason because once you interlock, unless you already on a different page of like, hey, we just gonna be
Interlocking, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that's different. But if you looking and like dating with a purpose,
Dating with a purpose, okay.
and you don't want to have any type of sexual activity because that's just gonna confuse you mentally.
Can you say that a little louder, please?
You don't want to have any type of sexual activity until you are for sure what the purpose of each other, you know, what are you doing, what are you doing, what are you all about, you know, your ins and outs, do I really understand you or not? Because once you interlock physically, then confusion will come about, and you're not going to be thinking rationally, you're going to be thinking more physically. And that, what is it? The flesh is weak, right?
And just to be clear, here at Expertise Talk, we're trying to wage war on the
War on your confusion. You done got physical too.
You got the church out here.
Well, you know, it's strange. I mean, but that's so real because we don't want. We so busy trying to be intimate, but intimacy, that's not intimacy. That's lust,
Yeah.
and there's a difference. Intimacy has a openness and a comfortability that lustful, animalistic stuff doesn't have. It's completely different, and you can feel the difference. If you're wondering if your stuff is good, it's better if you're more intimate with the person as opposed to physical. I'm just going to put you on game real fast. So, how often do y'all friends, I ain't giving y'all business, jump in these lustful relationships before really getting to know who they are with, like who they really got, and then they come back after the fact and be like, oh, he wasn't, she wasn't.
But I think we're.
Make a way about that.
We're
Many care.
I think we're at a different stage of our life. Like men do mature later in life than women. You know, just like babies. I mean, the girls are walking 8, 9 months. Sometimes boys 2 years.
Right.
And so I just feel that as far as our circle, most of them we're dating for a purpose. You know, you have your 1 or 2 that might still be doing their thing. Yeah, doing their thing. But I mean, personally, I can only speak for myself. Like,
do the first 30 days look the same on everybody? When does it change up? Like, when does somebody like you?
When does your real self come out?
No, I'm saying.
I don't like to waste my time.
I'm saying guy A and guy B. Guy A is dating with a purpose, like these gentlemen. Guy B is dating with another kind of purpose. Smash and dash. When does it look different? Because in my mind, it kind of looks almost the same those first 30 days. 60 days, 90 days, like when does it start to deviate? When do you start seeing the
Is it a time frame or is there an action? Because some guys switch up
after certain stuff?
it depends on what stage you are in your life. Like, I went through my whole days, 18, 25. Like,
So it varies per person.
Yeah, I mean, every person's not the same.
Of course not.
I went through my little 3 or 4 days, and it was like, okay, you did that, it was cool. Now, okay, you went through that. And then I think my life really changed when I had my child. It was like, okay, you have a son. He's going to be looking up to you.
Right.
What are you going to do to make a difference in his life? And like, you know, he's going to see you a different woman every night. But, you know, like, so it was different for me like that. Me personally. I can't speak for every man. I'm not trying
Absolutely not.
But that was for me personally.
But is it an action or is it a time frame?
when it's one particular person. Like you're dating somebody, is it 90 days?
What you want to do? What's your purpose? That's what it is. Not like not just
Yeah, no, I
sexual.
got you. Yeah.
Not sexual. Just like, are you like? Did you just like for me? And we just talked about this too.
Right.
My big outline now is like I can't talk to a woman that has a child 3 years or younger. You still been involved. You're still involved mentally or physically with that child.
Oh, that's
Like,
not even why. I
yeah.
just don't want to.
I don't. Well, in that too. I know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, like, it's certain things that
I gotta be love. Like,
I don't care. Look, it's
Like, I gotta
like
be-
I wouldn't do that. So it's certain.
the love you.
It's certain
I love
things.
children.
Yeah, it's certain things that. But I don't put time frames on. I mean, you could be talking to one person and kick it off the first night, and one time you might like, well, they were born. Go out with them again. Third time, like, damn, this person's pretty dope. You know. So
A lot of people don't give them 2 or 3 nights to change it.
well,
Yeah,
to be dope.
To be
You gotta be
dope.
dope.
You know what I'm
life is
saying?
about timing.
Life is about timing.
Yeah.
Now that got to be the most truest, realest.
Shit. I could have been too busy for you the first 2 times to really dig deep and see if
Be
this is
paying
the person
attention.
that, yeah, to
Be
pay
paying-
attention.
And just where you are, like you said, where you are in your life. Just post child, post breakup, post self-awareness, post growing
I'm
yourself,
still
post
hurt.
being around positive people, post all of that. Life has to happen, and people have to almost. It has to be almost a beautiful, like perfect storm. It has to be a
Life
perfect
is
storm.
about timing.
It
That's
is.
That's exactly.
If he cheating on you, sis, it's not you.
It ain't
You
you.
just came in his life at the wrong time.
Still in this whole days, be that hoe.
Be
that hoe, man. Get it
there.
out of there.
And a lot of times women and men both take it very personal when a person is not like flowing. Y'all retarded. Flowing how they should. I can't. You know what I'm saying? So I'm done with these people. Listen, life is about timing, guys. I really appreciate Doc and Chip from L.A.M.P for being in the building and enlightening us with their beautiful knowledge. These are great men of valor. I appreciate them so much. My beautiful sister, extremely talented. Hey, you guys, they're special. We look forward to seeing you again or having you see us. Huh? Comment, follow, subscribe, ask questions. Share this information. Guys, these people, just in case y'all didn't know, we love giving back. We love partying. We love fellowship. One of the things that we've done and we're doing again is Party with a Purpose. L.A.M.P, along with V.Fit, we're doing a pool party 4th of July. And we're also having people bring in school supplies
Yes.
for a back to school drive. So if you in the area and you know one of us personally, then you should hit us up on your Facebook. Plug us.
Facebook is Clarence Patrick Francis, and then on Instagram it's CIKENT, Sick Entertainment.
Okay.
Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Facebook is just my name, Lloyd Lindley, LLOYD, LIND. I can't spell my last name. Okay, and then
But he really smart, y'all. I don't want y'all to think.
I'm a little slow right
I
now.
promise.
And then on Instagram, there can only be one me. There can only be, and then the one me.
Okay.
Fancy.
Fancy.
And for me, it's just at XOXO V.Russ. Like I said before.
Good stuff.
XO.
And I'm experTEASEtalk. TEASE talk. We look forward to seeing you again. Signing off.